Hello and welcome back to the Trust YouTube channel. In today's class, we're going to learn how to make this beautiful long flare gown that we see here. Okay, it has a half length, and the half length has a princess and harmful princess that's bustier, as we have seen, and the flare that we have there is a long length flare. It has a basic sleeve and an outer pocket by the sides of the flare, just like this. You're going to learn how to cut all of this and sew in this class. If this is something you like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start this with my princess that's bustier. Okay, I'm just going to explain what I did here, but I have a detailed tutorial on this already on the channel if you don't know how to do this. So this is my armhole line, this is my bust point, my under bust, and this is my half length, okay, which is also my waistline. So here I took my shoulder measurement, went down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and then I took my neckline measurement. So here from the center front, you're going to mark your bust span, which is your nipple to nipple. Mine is 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. so here I have 4.5 inches, and then I mark that on my under bust, on my waistline, as well as my bust point. You can see I have 4.5. so using my straight ruler I connected that, and then I took a dart of 2 inches on the waistline and the under bust as well. So you can see I have a dart of 2 inches here and here as well, and then I made that into a straight line also. So with my curved ruler I just placed from the under bust like this, and then I connected it to my bust point. So here with the curved ruler as well, so make sure you have a smooth curve. This type of curve helps really well, so you just make sure that you blend it from the straight line that you're having here all the way to your armhole. So now you can measure around your armhole and divide your measurements by 2, so that you can get the points where you want, or if you have a particular place you want your princess that line to go, then you mark that. So that's where you're going to connect to your armhole like that. So here I came down by 2 inches on my bust point for my bust dart, and then I connected it back to this apex line. So this is what I did for the front, and like I said, there's a detailed tutorial on it on the channel. And this is my back as well. So here on my back I measured my armhole and my waistline. Remember, there is no bust for the back. And then I took my dart. This is my zipper allowance, this is my neckline and my shoulder slope. But what I want us to note is that because of the bust that I have here, you can see that my side measurement on this part is shorter by 2 inches on this side. So you can see this is the front and this is the side. It's shorter by 2 inches. So by the time I close this bust that I have here, my front and back side seam is going to be equal. So I'll go ahead and cut this out now, and then I'm going to cut it on my fabric as well. Okay, so when you cut it out, this is what you have. So what I'm going to do now is to go ahead and close this bust that I have here, and then I'm going to hold this together with my masking tape. So I'm just simply going to fold them over like this, and then close the dart. So once you close this bust dart, the dart that you have there, you automatically transfer it to your armhole area. You can see now that the armhole now is more open. So I'm going to go ahead now and cut the waist dart as well, and then you make sure when you're cutting this bust part you do not have any sharp points. It's very important. And when you are sewing as well, you make sure that there is a smooth transition there. Okay, make sure there is nothing sharp on that point. So this is what our pattern looks like now. So I'll go ahead and cut it out on my fabric. Okay, so I have gone ahead to cut my patterns on fabric. You can see this is the front, and then I fused my wording to the front to pad it. You can also pad with your ready-made backup or whatever it is that you want to pad with. And then I cut lining for it as well. This is the back. So for the back, I'm going to join I'm going to turn the lining, the main body to the lining, and then I'm going to hold my dart. Remember, the back is just one piece. I did not slash it open. So this is my back and this is the front, and for the front as well, I'll go ahead and sew it on the dart lines, and then I'm going to bring it back for us to see what it looks like, and then we'll cut the lower part. So I have gone ahead to line the back. You can see this is my back, and I held my dart as well, so you just need to iron it. So this is the second side of the back, and then for the front I also sew my darts together. You can see my dart, and then I went ahead to open my seams, and then I ironed it down. So you do the same thing for the lining as well, and then on the neckline I turned with my lining so that it can be neat. So now we move straight to the lower part. The lower part is quite big, it's a flare, so I'm going to be illustrating with this paper. So you need to get your waist measurement, but in this case we are going to be having to, I'll cut it as one single flare, and then I'm going to divide it because I want a pocket to run on the side. So my waist is 36, plus I'm going to add seam allowance of 2 inches to each side, just like I did for, of 1.5 inches, sorry, to each side, just like I did for the half length. And then remember we have 4 sides, so if I multiply 1.5 by 4, I'm going to have 6 inches. Then I'm going to add 2 inches for my seam allowance. So this is going to be the total waist that we'll use to draft my flare. So if you add all of this together, it's going to amount to 44 inches. This is my actual waist length, waist measurement. This is the allowance, the side seam allowance that I'm going to use for the 4 sides, 1.5 for each side. That's why I have 6. And this is my zipper allowance. So this is the total that I have. So I'll go ahead and divide this by 3.142 because I'm making a half circle flare. So whatever it is that you have, let's just assume that we have around 14.5. okay, so that's what you're going to use as the radius of your flare. And then for the length of the flare, you're going to subtract the half length. My half length was 18 inches, and then my full length is 60 inches. So if you remove this 18 from 60 inches, I'm going to have about 42 inches. Okay, so to fold my fabric, I will need to have a fabric that can take this 42 inches and this 14.5, which is my radius. So if I had both of them together now, I'll have about 56.5. so you can approximate this to 58 so that you're not going to run into any issue. So on your fabric, you take your tape rule and then you mark the 58. So let's assume this is 58. Once you have the 58 inches, I'm going to fold it into 2 in such a way that I have 58 here, 58 here on both sides. Then after that, I'm going to fold it in a triangular form. So the Ankara is actually 45 inches in length, so I had to join to it because it's not so long, and my flare is a long flare. So now this is how you fold your fabric. You fold it to 2 first, and then the edge here you just fold it in form of a triangle. Then after this, now you measure your 14.5 inches from here, which is your radius, and then from here now you measure your 42 or whatever your full length is. So after doing this, now I'm going to go ahead and cut out my flare. Okay, so like I said, this is going to have a zipper. Remember, we have one full flare like this. It's a half circle flare, like I said. So we have the front and back together. So to separate my front and back, I'm going to fold it. Remember, I added 2 inches seam allowance, so I'll fold like this. This fold point is going to be my center front. These 2 open points is going to be my center back. So when I'm folding, I'll make sure I fold to include my zipper allowance. You can see that I did not fold to the edge. So this is how you are going to fold it. So now this side now becomes your side seam. Okay, so on this side seam now, I'm just going to open it out. So I'll have 3 pieces now. This is my side seam. So this first one that is together is going to be the front, and these 2 that we have separately is going to be my back. I hope you understand this. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do on my fabric, because this is actually big. So I have gone to cut this on my actual fabric. This is my radius, okay, which is also my waistline. This is the front. You can see it is on a fold point, and these are the 2 back. You can see the backs are separate. So I'm going to leave the back now and work on the front, because that's where we are going to create our pocket. So now I have a detailed tutorial on how you can do a halter pocket, so I'm just going to run through it quickly. So this is my waistline now. The fabric is folded into two and the pocket is going to be on this side seam, which is here. So in order not to include my side seam allowance with my pocket, remember I added 1.5 inches as side seam. My actual waist is 36 divided by 4 is 9. So I'll mark the 9 inches from my center front. So this is 9 inches here. You can see where it stops, and the extra that I have here, the extra 1.5 that I have here, is for my seam allowance. So you need to note that, so that when you are shaping your pockets, you're not going to include seam allowance with it. So for my pocket, I'm going to come in by around 1.5 inches. You can come in by 2 inches as well, just like this. And then on the length, I'm going to come down by 7 inches. So after coming down by 7 inches or 7.5 because of sewing, okay, so here again I'm noting where my allowance is. Okay, so this is my allowance. Now I'll connect for my pocket. I'll connect from this place to this place, just like this. Okay, I'll connect from here to here for my pocket. You can use a straight ruler or a curved ruler. Okay, so I want it slightly curved. It's not so curved. You can see it's slightly curved. So that's what I'm doing. After connecting like this, the first thing I'm going to do before cutting is to fold a fabric which is going to serve as the pocket. You can see that it's on fold. The fold point is going to be towards the center front. Remember, this is the side. And then I'm going to cut out the shape that I have. So the length that you need to fold your fabric is the length of your pocket. Remember, this is where the pocket opening stops. So from there you can just measure like 5 inches or 6 inches, depending on how deep you want the pocket to be. So from mine now, I have around 1 2 3 4 5.5 inches thereabouts. So now after placing it like this, remember it's a flare, and when you sew it, you want it to lay properly. So I'll just cut out the exact shape that I have for my main bodice. Okay, my waistline, my side seam. Okay, I'm cutting out the exact same thing. So when I open it out now and check, this is the shape that I have for my pocket. You can see that it's going to sit well with what you already have here. So now what I'm going to do is to get 2 of these. Remember, we're going to have 2 pockets, so I'll just place this on another fabric and cut this out as well. So after cutting out the pockets, now I'm going to go ahead and cut out my pocket opening on the main fabric. Okay, I'm just following the curved shape that I have there. Okay, and you can see this is my pocket opening, and I cut out the 2 fronts together. If you open it out, this is what it's going to look like. So now on my pocket as well, remember I have 2 now. So you're just going to cut your opening on one side. Okay, remember this is going to be together for you to enter, for your hand to enter the pocket. So now I'll just lay it right side facing right side. Okay, and then I'm going to tuck one of them in like this. Okay, so after tucking it in, I'm going to arrange it well in such a way that my side seam is going to align. Remember, I already shaped my side seam. So after aligning it like this, you can see this is my main fabric. I'll just trace out the exact shape of my pocket opening. You are doing this on one side of your pocket, please. Like I said, I have a dedicated tutorial on how you can do this. You can check that out. So after cutting it out, this is the other side. Okay, you can see that the other side is not shaped. So before I sew the pocket, I want to decorate the opening area with my velvet bias. So I'll just go ahead and sew 2 lines of velvet bias on it, and then I'll bring it back to show us how to sew the pocket. I have sewn my bias, as you can see. So you go ahead, you iron it so that it can relax well. So now the next thing is to sew the pocket. To sew the pocket, I'll just pick one of the pockets, the one that corresponds to this side. So I'm just going to show us, this fabric does not really have a true right and wrong side, but this is the right side of the fabric and this is the wrong side. So now I want the right side, because this part is going to be showing on my dress. So I want to make sure that the right side is facing up. So you just arrange your pocket first like this, the way you want it to be, and then you place it under like this. Okay, by the time you are done, this is what you want to achieve. So to sew it, what I'm going to do is to simply flip this like this, and then I'll go ahead and sew. You can see when I was fixing my bias, I left half an inch to sew the pocket. So I'll just match this together now and then sew on it before I flip it. So the pocket is sewn now, as you can see. So I just notched it and then I'm going to flip it. So that's just going to clean up the pocket opening area for you. You can see now that it is clean, and then you go ahead and iron it well. So this is what we have. So now this side, now this other side that we did not shape, remember that's what's going to cover the part that we have cut out to create our opening. Okay, so the unshaped part is what is going to cover it. So now what I'm going to do now is to go ahead and sew the lower part of the pocket, this part. Okay, I'm going to sew it, and then I'm going to sew the little bit of the side as well that is not covered by the opening. So I'll just sew like this. So you can either sew outwards like this and serge it, or you can sew inwards so that you can flip it when you're done. Okay, so you can see that I have sewn the lower part. I decided to leave this open part. Remember, I'm still going to sew it together with my side seam, but you can also close it just like I explained. So I sew it inwards first before I flip it so that it can be knit inwards like this, in case you are not fixing lining to this. So if we arrange our pockets now, you will see that it will just take the form that it's supposed to take. Okay, so let me flip it to the wrong side so that we can see what I am doing very well. Okay, so this is the part that we are going to close. Okay, so now this is the pocket. You have it just like this. So you just need to go ahead and iron it. So you can see now that the waistline matches, because remember we first used it to cut the pocket as well before we turned it upside down. So this is my pocket now, and this is my fabric. So now I'll flip it to the right side, and you can see that it is well laid. So I'm just going to iron it. This is the waist area. Okay, so now I have gone ahead to iron it, and you can see how well it's laying. So I just held the waistline with a stitch on this side so that I can hold it for me, and this is the wrong side. So you can see our pocket just like this. So you go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. So after doing that, now what I'm going to do is to bring in the upper bodice. Okay, that's the half length, and then I'm going to sew it to the waistline. Okay, so I have gone ahead to do the same thing on the other side. I have fixed the pocket for the other side as well. So now I decided to fix a lining for mine. So I cut a small lining. Okay, it's not going to be up to full length, but it's almost to the full length. This is the length that I have for my lining, as you can see. Okay, so it stops around here. So what I'm going to do first is to sew the half length to the skirt just like this, and then I'm going to flip. I'm going to use my lining to cover up the rough edges that I have done, that I have there. I have done this for the back, so I'm just going to show us what it looks like. So after sewing my half length to the main bodice, I just used my lining. Okay, I just flipped it so that I can use it to cover up these rough edges, and you can see how neat it is looking. And I went ahead to install my zipper to the back panel. So this is what it looks like on the back. So now I'll do the same thing for the front as well, and then I'm going to join it together on the shoulder, and then I'm going to join the side seam. Okay, and that is it. I'm fixing a basic sleeve to this, so there's really nothing more to it. So I'll just go ahead now and sew the half length to the front as well, and then I'm going to join the front and back together and fix my sleeve. Okay, so I have gone ahead to fix my basic sleeve. Like I said, you can fix any sleeve of your choice, and then I've joined it on the side seam and the shoulder just like I explained. You can see how beautiful it is looking. You can see our princess dart there as well. It's really nice. So this is the pocket, and that is the trimming that we use to beautify it. You can also use your stone on it to make it more beautiful, and this is what the full view of the dress looks like. I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful tutorial with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.